All right. I feel like there's a couple of things that I'm like clicking as I go. What's going on, Jessica? Thanks for joining from Birmingham. Zan asks a challenge. Where do you stand on free challenge versus paid challenge? By doing free, are you attracting non-paying clients? I actually talk about that. I've talked about that before. So because we're doing today's topic on conversion content, we'll skip answering that question. But I have covered that before, and I do talk about that a lot more. That's a great question. If you want to post that inside of our group, so go to latisha.tv/group and you post it there. We can continue the conversation and happy to answer it there. Yeah, caffeine is it's like a magic it's a magic pill. It's not exactly a pill, it's actually just a drink. But this one has it says that it also has some sort of thing called neurofactor. I don't know what that means. All I know is that I'm focused. So that's good. All right. Conversion content. What does it mean to create content that converts? When I was first thinking about this topic, the reason that I even came up with this topic is a lot of you guys create content. You create content. So I don't have to say you need to create content. You need to post on social media. You need to write content. You need to record videos. You need to you're creating content. The problem is that that content is not actually turning into anything. Sometimes you get likes. Sometimes you get comments. Sometimes you don't get anything. And most of the time, you're not actually seeing people convert from that content. And the truth of the matter is that when you create the right type of content, which is called conversion content, when you create the right type of content, it doesn't matter if you get likes, it doesn't matter if you get comments. You're absolutely, I try to say two words at the same time. You're absolutely going to be able to convert the right people into the product or service or whatever it is that you're offering, even if you're not mentioning that product or service inside of that content. And let me explain to you how I know this to be true. So a couple of years ago, this was 2017, 18-ish, I was having a conversation with my husband and he was like, okay, well, where are most of the people coming to you? Like when they find you, do you know? And I was like, well, not really. At the time, I wasn't asking people, how do you find me the way that I do now? But my assumption was, well, I think they're coming from YouTube. So he said, okay, well, why don't you create more YouTube videos? And I started going down this rabbit hole of searching like how to create YouTube videos, how to grow your channel. But the problem is that a lot of the content that's out there, a lot of the education that's out there on helping you grow a YouTube channel is geared towards people who want to be YouTube stars. Even though I think it would be great to have 1 million subscribers for that social proof, right? That social clout. That's not my goal. My goal is, as a business owner, I want to create content that converts. That's it, right? And whether, someone's following or someone's liking, that is that's a bonus, but my goal is like, how do we get people to watch, click, buy? That's the goal. And so I started kind of reverse engineering my own buying process and started thinking about like, how do I buy? Like, what do I do? And I want you to think about this for yourself too. What is the process that you take? What process do you take before you buy? It likely looks something a little bit like this. You think, man, I got to figure out how to do XYZ, or I'm so tired of this happening, like something's got to change, right? So you think about the problem. You don't think, okay, I need to go buy something to fix it. You just think about the problem. Then the next thing that happens is you usually go into like research mode where you're trying to figure out what's the best way to solve the problem. When you go into research mode, you find content. Some of that content helps you convert right then. Other content gives you the answer you need and you kind of keep moving. So after you are in research mode, you go from research mode and then you usually go into decision-making mode. And when you're in decision-making mode, you've determined, okay, this is the way I want to solve this problem. Notice you have determined how you want to solve the problem. This is the way I want to solve the problem. And now let me figure out and compare these different options. So now you start kind of comparing different options and going to that decision process. You make your decision and you buy. So as a content creator, where should you create? Like, what type of content should you create? Should you create content for people that are like, oh, I have a problem? Should you create content for people who say, okay, I'm trying to figure out what the best solution is? Or should you create content for people who are like, okay, I'm just trying to compare. I already know how I want to fix this problem, but I'm just trying to compare options. So I'm actually asking you that question. So is it 1, 2, or 3? Should you create content? Let me put the chat overlay up because I know these are going to come in kind of fast. And I'll ask the question again. Should you create content for people who only know they have a problem? That's 1. Should you create content for people who are seeking how to fix the problem? That's 2. Should you create content for people who are comparing the different solutions based on how they know they want to solve the problem? That's 3. So is it 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3? I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll give you guys a second to type your answer in. Should you create content for the person who is only just now discovered that they have a problem? That's 1. Should you create content for the person who is seeking a solution? That's 2. Or should you create content for the person who's comparing solutions? Okay, so we got 1s. Miles knew it was a trick question. And so did Sarah. Hey, Sarah Jane. Yes, all of the above. Okay, so we got 2s, we got 3s, we got 1s. Yes, it was a trick. It was a trick question. You guys are good. It's a trick question. Why is it a trick question? Because you need to create content for all of the stages. So for those of you who knew it was a trick question, probably, you see how they all come in at the same time? Probably the reason that you knew it was a trick question is because those are the different stages of marketing. So the different buyer stages are unaware. So people are not really aware that there's that like anything is happening, like they're just unaware. And if you try to reach those people, you try to create content for those people, you're wasting your time because they're not even aware that they have a problem. And they're also not aware that there's a solution. Like they're just unaware. Then you have the people who are problem aware. And that means they are aware that they have a problem. And that's all they know. They just know, like, I got to fix this problem. I realize I have a problem. And that's it. They're problem aware. Then you have people who are solution aware, meaning they're aware that there is a solution and they're trying to like figure out like what solution is best. And this is when they kind of go into that research phase where they start researching and they start trying to figure out the different solutions. And then from there, you have the final stage of people who are hyper aware or most aware. And these are the people who they kind of already know that they are going to solve the problem. They know how they're going to solve the problem, the way they would prefer to solve the problem. I keep emphasizing that. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then all they're doing is really comparing options. So here's why it's important to understand these stages. If you're not aware of these stages, then you're unaware, right? But the reason that you need to know and understand these stages is you have to create the right content for the right stage. When someone is unaware, if you're trying to create content to explain to people that they have a problem, you are wasting your time. And a lot of people are still creating content for the people who are completely unaware that they have a problem. They don't know they have a problem. They don't realize it. You know, if you're doing something, we had a client who was doing something related to like fitness and health and wellness. And she kept trying to say, I don't want to like give it all away, but she kept trying to say this specific thing. And I was like, but they don't realize that yet. They're unaware. So we have to make sure that we're not creating content for unaware people. So that's like the first thing. Let's cut that off and just we're no longer playing in that sandbox because there's no reason to. If they're unaware, they don't know and they don't care. Then that next stage of people are the people who are problem aware, meaning they realize that there's a problem, but they don't know that there's a solution. They don't know how to fix it. And so here's where we start to create our first type of conversion content. Okay. The conversion content you create at this stage for people who are problem aware is content related to the problem, right? They don't know anything else. They don't know that there's a solution. So why would you talk about the solution? They don't know that there's that you are the best person to help them. So why would you talk about yourself? Like, all they know is that there is a problem. So this is where you create content that's only focused on the problem, and you're speaking about the problem. And the type of content that I like to create here is usually like a lot of my free content. I don't normally do a lot of like email based, like, email submit content. This is where I'm doing, blog posts. I'm doing, YouTube videos, live streams. This is mostly problem aware content. This live stream is an example of a problem aware content. Your content doesn't convert. That's a problem, right? You realize there's a problem, which is why you're here. So problem aware content. Then your next stage, the type of content you're creating for that next stage for people who are solution aware, is talking about the different solutions and comparing and contrasting the different solutions. This is typically where I'll start doing like email submit type content, meaning I'm giving you something free in exchange for your email. I like to do webinars. I like to do, your PDF lead magnets, things like that, because then we start talking about the solution. Like, here is a solution for this problem, and this is why this solution works best. This is why it's worked for me. Sign up, give me your email address, and I'll give you a copy of it. That's how we start converting people over to our list, right? So we got to have the right conversion content there. Then from there, we've got that next stage, which is the, we talked about unaware, problem aware, solution aware, and most aware, right? So hyper aware. In the hyper aware stage, this is where people, they're essentially just kind of making that final decision. They're just comparing you with someone else. And so this is finally where you get to talk about yourself. And I actually like to, what I like to do with this content is, this is where I'll do like retargeting type content. And surprisingly, it's not always the content that's like, hey, click to buy. Sometimes it's content just like talking about who I am as a person, and like why. It's the type of content that creates connection. And so many people miss this because they're always trying to say, hey, buy, 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 or they're talking about their product, or they're sharing the wrong type of content to the wrong person at the wrong time. And then they kind of miss this final piece, which is, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And if they don't know you, obviously they can't buy from you. But if they don't trust you, and they don't trust that you're the best person to help them, then they obviously are not going to purchase from you. And so this is where we start creating this type of conversion content. Questions? Let me come to the comments and see if I can capture some of these. Okay, cool. What's going on, Chris? Chris says, this is a golden nugget. So what content are you making? I hope I answered that question. So we got free content like live streams, and we'll talk about this. We're going to continue on. I still have more to share. But free content, so like your live streams, your TikTok videos, your free content. It's like this is where most people stop. Then you got your paid content. You have your email submit content. So like your webinars, your trainings, things like that. And then you got your paid content after that. Okay. What's going on, Megan? Megan says, problem aware content. What if you don't really do live video? I'm okay with webinars. So your problem aware content, the issue and the problem with trying to create a problem aware content webinar is that the person is not invested enough in seeking the solution yet, so that they're ready and willing to watch a 45 minute webinar. And so that's the issue with plugging the wrong content into the wrong bucket, essentially. So if you don't like live video, you can do pre-recorded video, and then you can put that content out there for your problem aware people. Okay. Do I prefer webinars or challenges? I don't really have a preference, to be honest. I find that challenges are really great to connect with people and also like really deliver a lot of good content over the span of a couple of days, but they can be very exhausting, especially for someone who's an introvert. Webinars are great because you can also like create that connection, even though you only usually have about an hour, and you can deliver the same webinar like over and over again. But there's just a different type of connection, and they both have their place. So it really just depends. Okay, good. All right. So let's move into crafting some of that content. But before we get there, if you're enjoying this and you do want some additional help with crafting content, I do have a survey because I'm likely going to do this challenge. I'm definitely going to do the challenge. If you go to LaTisha.tv/content, you can take the survey. All right. Let me put this in the chat. Okay. Go to LaTisha.tv/content, take the survey. You guys know how I do my surveys. Anytime I offer a survey, I also give you a chance to win something. So if you do take the survey, you could win merchandise from our store. We have I create my own version of a lavish life mug. We've got the niches, get riches, crop top, regular t-shirt. And there's actually also a hoodie in there, and it's your choice of item. So if you win, you get your choice of item. If you're not taking the monthly surveys, please do it, okay? Because I give away good stuff, and I need that information from you as well, so I can make sure I'm creating the right type of content. What's going on, Cammie? Okay, cool. All right, so next, let's start talking about the content that you're creating and where you're putting that content, because the question was, what content are you making, right? So we'll start with our problem aware section. Here, you're going to be doing, like I said, live streams. You're going to be doing your TikTok videos. You're going to be doing your YouTube videos. Notice I said video a couple times. I love video. Everybody doesn't like video. If you have an issue with video and you're like, oh, I don't like live video, I don't want to go live, it's probably because number one, video might not be your medium. Everyone's medium is not the same. So video might not be your medium, but it's also probably because you just don't gain any energy from it, either because people are not there, they're not showing up, they're not interacting. And if you could fix those things, you probably would enjoy it. If you ever enjoyed like entertaining your family when you were a kid, or if you were the one that, you're always like dancing and doing stuff, you probably will enjoy like doing a live training or doing some sort of live video. You just got to get practice in doing it. When I first started doing my live streams, this was back when live streaming actually first started, which is when Periscope first came out. And everyone was all excited, like, oh, Periscope is this thing, y'all. I literally built my business on the back of Periscope, which was like brand new, right? And I was told to go live. I did not want to go live, but I was working with a coach and I had paid her a lot of money. And I was like, okay, well, she says go live, I'm going to go live. This is going to be exhausting, but I'm going to do it anyways. And so I started going live twice a day. I would go live in the afternoon and then I would go live in the evening. And when I started creating that content, it was mostly just for me to like go on live and chat. And so I was making the mistake that a lot of you guys make at the very start, and a lot of, type of content that I see, which is I was basically just showing up. I was a body in front of a camera, and I would have these topics that were, I thought they were great because it was all like how to X, how to Y. And I'm like, oh, this is what everyone wants. And it wasn't necessarily geared towards me converting people into the next step, right? The purpose of your problem aware content is to help convert people to the next step. And so on Periscope, I remember I had a friend that popped in. This was the same friend that gave me that first sales script. If you remember from, I think it was either last week or the week before last, he gave me that sales script, and he had popped on one of my live streams, and he was like, what are you talking about? And I remember like I read the chat and I read it in his voice, and I was like, I'm sharing like some books that have helped me to start earning more money, because I was helping people and kind of talking about the topic of like trying to start a side hustle, earn money on the side. And he was like, what does that have to do with you actually getting clients? And I remember thinking like, I don't know, but I think people are interested in this topic. And so anyway, I messaged him after and I asked him, like, what am I doing wrong, basically? And he explained, he was like, we want to learn more about who you are, what you do, and what you offer, and how you can help. And that's it. And he's like, your content needs to be centered around that. And, he wasn't an expert in content creation. He was just sharing what he knew from, what he had been doing for himself. And so over the years, I've realized and developed a framework that works for me in different areas. So it's the reason that I do these live streams once a week, and they're free. But there's also a reason that they get locked into the vault. There's a reason that I do my, emails that come out. You guys see my emails come out on a regular basis. There's a reason that I have ads that are running that go to, a specific topic and bring people into the email list that way. And, all of these things that they're very, there's thought that has gone into that. And if you're having a problem with that, or if you're not sure, like, what should I be doing? Then obviously just reach out. Like, I'm happy to have a conversation and sort of point you in the right direction to go to the next, figure out what you need, what's wrong. All right. Okay, great. I'm lost my train of thought, so I'm going to go to these comments. Everyone is using Chat GPT. Oh, thank you. Okay, so the thumbnail was like, Chat GPT could never. Okay, so if you saw the thumbnail, then you also saw the image that's on there that I created that image using AI. And if you look at the hands, right? So on the image, it was from a video where I was doing this and then my hands came down. If you look at the hands, there's like the thumb ends right here, and then there's like an extra finger like in here. Chat GPT could never. Okay, for the people who are like, oh, I'm going to use Chat GPT to create my content. If you don't understand how to create content that converts, it doesn't matter what tool you use, because you have to give it the prompt. Chat GPT is not going to be like, okay, well, this is what you should say for someone in this state of mind. This is what you should say for someone to help them understand this piece. This is how you unlock this belief in someone's mind. Chat GPT could never, because it doesn't know that. It's a system. It's a tool. It's something that was created and programmed by humans, but it's not going to understand the nuances of what content to create at what time for what person and why. And so if you don't understand this and learn this for yourself, the tool in your hands, it's not going to be as effective as it could be. And so that's the problem. And it's a problem that a lot of people run into, is that, they're looking at a lot of these shiny objects like, oh, I'm just going to use this AI thing to write blog posts for me or to write content for me. And I'm just going to say, hey, write this thing. And it's going to do it because this is what you asked it to do. But if you're not thinking about these buckets and where you should be creating content, when and why, then all you're doing is putting garbage in and getting garbage out. But it looks good and it sounds good, but it's not effective and it's not helping you to create those conversions. Okay, now I remember my train of thought. So going back to the conversation that I was having with my husband, where he was like, create videos. I started creating videos and I started creating specific conversion-based content videos. When I started creating these videos, I had a cluster of like 6 or 7 videos. I started with 3 and then I batch recorded a couple more. I created a cluster of those videos. Those videos led to thousands in sales. The videos had 100 views sometimes, 100 views, especially when I had first published them, 100 views here, 400 views, barely 1,000 views on the videos, but they kept leading to sales. Why is that? Because it was the right message for the right person at the right time. And so if you know that, you understand where to plug in your content and exactly what to do there. So like I said, if this is something that's interests you, I'm definitely going to be hosting a challenge on it. So go to LaTisha.tv/content. So you can give me an idea of what you'd like to see. Go ahead and type that in, save it so you can, or go to it and do it right now. I don't mind. Okay, great. Zan says, I'm in, just completed the survey. Perfect. Cami says, I can't figure out why I'm not getting conversions. I know what I'm sharing content wise is bomb. Yeah. So once again, it just depends on the content that you're sharing for the person that you're sharing and at the specific time. So if think about it also, for example, if you've ever like the problem aware section, if you ever realized that you had a problem, usually like it kind of keeps you up at night, right? Like if it's a sincere problem, it's difficult to sleep, you're probably up in the middle of the night, you're probably scrolling, you're probably, trying to figure out how do I solve this problem. And as you are trying to do that, you come across a piece of content, and there's a piece of content that suddenly breaks through, and you say, oh, there is a solution for this. Okay. Some people get up and they, maybe they're watching TikTok in the middle of the night as they're thinking about their problem. But most of the time people are searching, or they're going to like their favorite platforms, like their favorite forums or Facebook, and they're just, the problem's at the top of their mind, but they don't really know what to look for, which is why you can't really create search content here, because they don't know what to search for. All they know is they have a problem. And, maybe they're typing in the problem, but they don't realize that there's a solution to that problem. And so if you try to create content that talks about the solution to the problem without realizing that they don't even know that there's a solution, like when they find your piece of content, there's no context. It doesn't make sense to them because they're not there yet. Okay, so that's usually what's happening. I love video content. I do think that it's the most powerful impact. I believe that when someone can see you, when they can hear you, and then when they, get those facial expressions, it makes it that much easier for them to connect with you. It's surprising to me how much we like and enjoy consuming video, but there's not as many people that are willing to create video. And there's like a disconnect, which means that there's a really big opportunity. If you're the type of person and you're willing to create video content, you're going to be at an advantage. Okay. Hey, Nancy. Nancy says, I love video content. The more you do it, the better you'll get. Absolutely. Brittany says, boost your algorithm before posting. I found that it can help a bit. Yeah, there's this screenshot that I took of someone who shared like what you should do on Instagram before you post your content. Like you should go through and comment and like, and then like, DM people and stuff like that, and then post your content. And it could help. I don't really have much of an opinion on that, except for that maybe I do. Sometimes there's like these hacks and like tiny things that we use to optimize, but there's a difference between being effective and being efficient. And that's being efficient. And if it's like, I want to give you guys a visual, but it's like you have a sculpture and you start with a slab of rock and you're like, okay, I'm going to carve, whatever, the Michelangelo, right, out of stone. And you start with the little tool, but you got this big slab of rock. And so like, that's being efficient. Being effective is saying, okay, great. I know that I'm going to bulge. So let me grab a sledgehammer and like knock the piece off that I don't need. That's being effective. And so the problem is that a lot of people are doing these like little efficiencies before they're actually being effective. And it's just a waste of time. Creating content that converts is effective. Doing all those little, algorithm hacks, that's efficient. But if you do that, but your content doesn't convert, it doesn't really matter who sees it, right? So that's what I have to say about that. Excuse me. I'm getting more eyes, but not sure how to make content with offers to get conversion. Okay, cool. I'll definitely cover that in the challenge. I didn't include that for today's session. Nancy says, so true. I've tested ChatGPT and it gives me general stuff. Exactly. And you're the subject matter expert. So when you see what comes out, you're like, well, yeah, but then also this, right? I just used ChatGPT to give me a new title for my YouTube video on empowered work culture. And the response was simple steps to making delicious Italian pizza at home. Yeah, not so much, right? How do you convert people off of TikTok, even with a call to action and lead magnet isn't working? The first step is you got to go back to your foundation, and your message has to match your audience, right? And then also the specific buckets. So if for some reason your content is not converting, you're probably like you have a message mismatch with the people that you want to reach. And it doesn't matter if it's TikTok, it doesn't matter if it's YouTube, it doesn't matter if it's a blog post. It's not going to convert if there's a mismatch. I need to make it cooler in here because I'm getting warm already. I usually make this cooler before I start recording, but I didn't do that today. Okay, let's see if this will come on again. All right. Okay, cool. Yes, effective versus efficient. And the crazy thing is, like, my camera turned off while I was talking about that. So hopefully this comes in well. Hey, Narissa. Narissa says you have to tweak the message from ChatGPT to match your messaging, your audience, and a call to action. Absolutely. Okay, great. Great session. I hope more people realize the purpose of ChatGPT is to gather everyone's thoughts and ideas and enhance it. Human intelligence is giving tech more knowledge. Absolutely. So just to kind of break that down for those of you who don't quite understand what she's saying, the model, which is 3.5. What's the GPT 3.5? I hope I'm saying that right. I feel like there's something a little bit wrong and off of that, but I can't. My brain is not working right now. So anyway, there was 3.0. This Chat GPT is a 3.5 version, and then soon they should be releasing 4.0. And so the goal is the more people that use it, the more people that ask questions, get feedback, give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, it starts to enhance and train the model. So you got millions of people that are asking questions, enhancing the model, training the model so that it provides better answers. So yes, human intelligence is improving the AI, and that's essentially what's happening. So the crazy thing is that I saw someone who created a post and they were like, oh, I asked it to give me this catchy thing. And at the end of it, it said something about like colder than a polar bear's toenails. And when I was reading that, I was like, oh, you mean like the rap song that Big Boy did? I don't know. Like, there's certain phrases that rappers do that you might not remember the song, but you remember that phrase. And he definitely said colder than a polar bear's toenails in one of his raps. And so now that's been pulled into that model, and it's been appropriated. The AI appropriated it. All right. So what if you get a lot of feedback from people saying they binge your content because it speaks to them, but they're not converting? Ooh, I know how this feels, because the first thing you feel when someone says, oh, I've been binge watching your content, and you're like, okay, but have you been binge watching the shopping cart though? How about we binge watch that, right? Usually the first thing that you need to look at is, once again, message to audience match. So if they're binge watching your content and they're not yet in that consideration phase yet, so if they're not in the I didn't mention consideration today, I mentioned solution aware. So we'll keep it there. If they're not in that like solution aware phase yet, but they're binge watching your content, then that's fine. Okay. So don't stress about that. They're kind of problem aware. They're still trying to like figure it out, and that's okay. But if they're in the stage where they like understand that this is what they need and they're kind of binge watching content that's like conversion content, but they're not converting, then there's an issue with your messaging. Like there's an actual issue with what you're saying in order to make that conversion. And like I said, I definitely want to dive deeper into this, which is why we're going to need to have a full challenge in order to do this. So take the survey, and that will help me to make sure I hit on all of those points. Okay. Okay. It absolutely is. Yes, this is a mic. I have my my Sony camera up also, because whenever you guys see my shorts, like the YouTube shorts, we're actually grabbing it from this camera because that's 4K, and it's a long story, but yeah, it's a mic. It's a Rode mic. All right. Do you have a DM script that helps create conversations that build trust and connections? I absolutely do. And it's something that I actually only share with clients. So it's inside of our our programs and deliver it for clients. But yeah, I do have a DM script for that. Yes, that is it. Okay. Carolyn says, I get that all the time. Ooh, okay. I can't wait for this challenge. Are y'all excited about it? I'm excited about it already. I don't even know what I'm going to share yet, but all right. Cami says, that's me. People love my content, but no conversion. Okay, good. Well, it looks like we figured out what we need to do next, which is actually start crafting some content. We can do that during the challenge. Nancy says, I get people who stop me on the street to tell me how much they like my content, but they don't buy. I understand that completely. So I haven't created the challenge yet. I literally just decided today. So there's no other details other than take the survey, so I'll know what to put in there, and that I know that we're going to be talking about conversion content. So we're going to be talking more about how to actually convert, how to create that content that converts, and like where to slot it in which place. That I know for sure we can talk about, and I can dive into that over the span of 3 days, 5 days, however long it happens to be. Like I said, I haven't planned it out yet, so I don't have any details on it right now. But if you'd like more details on that eventually, once I have those details, then please take the survey. Go to LaTisha.tv/content. I did set up a survey. I literally set it up this morning. So there's only one question on it, which is, what do you need help with? And that way I'll know exactly how to structure it, what content to include, and so on and so forth. Okay, cool. I'm excited too. All right, cool. Well, that is what I have for today. Wait, let me check my notes. Hang on. I think I have one more thing. Okay. The one main takeaway that I want to share with you from today's session is understanding that when you decide to start creating content, you need to do that by thinking about the person you're speaking to first and where they are in their journey. So if you heard what I've been saying on this session and you kind of been following along, remember that the content that you share for people who are aware of their problem is going to be a little bit different than the content you share for people who are aware of the solution. And if you are sharing content for people who are unaware, or if you're sharing the content that you think is supposed to convert, but you're sharing it at the wrong stage, then there's going to be a little bit of a mismatch. And so we got to make sure that those things are working correctly and they're working together. And once they are, like, you can do a live stream once a week and still generate multiple six figures, right? Like, there's some people I know that they go live every single day and they've got lots of followers, but like the number of their follower count is a lot more than what they're making in sales. And I don't say that to be like cocky or brag or anything like that. I say that because I've literally figured out a formula. And when you figure out the formula, you figure out the inputs and the outputs, you don't have to work so hard. Like, you don't have to stress yourself out creating a ton of content. You notice that I really don't create that much content. Sometimes I wish I created more, but I don't. And it's because I don't have to, right? So I'll say that. I'll kind of like leave it there. But if you do want to take this further and you want some help with that, we definitely need to do that. We're going to be covering all that on the challenge. Okay, cool. I can't wait either. And then if you have any other questions, let me know. That's all I got for today. Are you saying that live content is better than pre-recorded content? No. I don't have a preference on that either. Pre-recorded content is awesome because you don't have to be there and it doesn't take your time. And also people can watch it whenever they're ready, whenever they're online. And that's great. Live content is good because you got the feedback, but also sometimes live content will prevent people from getting the most that they can out of it because, we're doing a lot of like chit chat. I'm like, hey guys, welcome, talking about like what I'm drinking, stuff like that. So it's not as condensed as it could be. I try to make these as tight as possible, but they're not always. Okay, cool. Hey, Khadija. I feel there will always be free content seekers. As long as you convert those who are ready, that will give your business the ammunition it needs to continue pumping out more. Absolutely. Quality is more important than quantity. When you're consistent, you're consistent. 100%. Okay, cool. I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to wrap it up for today and leave this up so that you guys can go and take the survey, so we can make sure we hit in on this challenge. And I'll probably end up working on it all weekend because that's what I do. Whenever I'm excited about something, I'm a sprinter, and I do everything like as if it needs to be done today. All right, so thank you for joining me so much on today's free training. If you want even more, make sure you go explore my YouTube channel. It's at LaTisha Styles. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe, click that bell for notifications. If you didn't know, the best conversations happen inside of our private community, which has a new name, is now the Digital Course Creators and Coaches Community. So we got lots of C's, okay? Don't try to say that 3 times fast, but I renamed it because I'm really excited about bringing people in who are interested in the topic. And, everyone doesn't know what a profit creator is, right? So that's that's like that third section where it's kind of like talking about me, versus the first section where it's this one is more solution aware, right? So if you're solution aware, you realize you want to create a digital product. So I renamed the group. So you can come and join our private community. It's latisha.tv/group. Please be sure to answer the 3 questions so that we can get you in as quickly as possible. Doesn't matter what you answer, whether it's a yes or a no or whatever it is, but you just got to answer those because I want to make sure that we're active. So if you just join and then you go away, I don't know who you are. So please do that. Okay. Until next time, remember, your dreams deserve your decision, and you deserve to achieve your dreams, but only if you decide to do whatever it takes to get them. So go, dream, decide, do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay. Bye.